This is the Landlord Advocates, where we help landlords become better landlords. I'm your host, Matthew Lyman. On September 28, 2020, Governor Andrew Cuomo of the state of New York yet again extended the eviction moratorium. He initiated it on March 20th, 2020 for 90 days, set to expire June 20th. Prior to that date, he extended it again for 2 more months to August 20th. But on June 30th, Governor Cuomo signed into law the Tenant Safe Harbor Act, which has various provisions that if tenants meet those provisions and you take them to court to evict them, the court will only grant you a monetary judgment but no warrant of eviction. There are many provisions regarding the Tenant Safe Harbor Act. We will not go into them now, but at the end of this video, you will see up above a video that you can click on that we go into full detail explaining to you what the Tenant Safe Harbor Act is. This video was done in early June. If the tenants meet these provisions, even the cases that were done back prior to COVID, they are a part of this as well. Those warrants that were sent for the sheriff or marshal or constable to remove those tenants, they are a part of this continued eviction moratorium. And they can prove that they suffered a financial hardship. They will be in your property until sometime in February or March 2021. How is it that cases that had no relationship to COVID-19 are now being put into that mix? When you add in another agency order, another act to assist tenants and not help landlords, that is the Centers for Disease Control issued an agency order on September 4th, 2020. There are many provisions to that as well, that if tenants meet those provisions, they will not be evicted again until sometime February, March, or even later of 2021. We will have a link to that video of us describing in detail what the CDC guidelines are. We had done that in the early part of this month. You can click on either one of those videos and learn about what's going on here in New York and across America and why this eviction moratorium, along with the CDC guidelines, will make it virtually impossible to evict tenants here in New York. Governor Cuomo has stated that he does not want to have these evictions as it will create problems for tenants. He goes on basically to say that as New York continues to fight the pandemic, we want to make sure New Yorkers who are still struggling financially will not be forced from their homes as a result of COVID. Forced from their homes. What about the landlords who are having a difficult time paying all the mortgages and the taxes and the upkeep for the properties that they can't evict tenants for months? For some of these people, it could be a year or longer since these tenants owed money before they're going to be out. But yet they are mandated to keep the properties up. And if they don't, they're being brought into cold court to have their cases heard right now as to why their properties are not kept up. How ironic is it that many courts here in New York and across America are open for traffic, minor criminal cases, major criminal cases, code violation cases, for having all the parties to come and to discuss and to adjudicate those cases, but eviction cases are not being heard? How ironic is that? He goes on further to say, we are extending the protections of the Safe Harbor Act through January 1 because we want tenants to have fundamental stability in their lives as we recover from this crisis. We want tenants to have fundamental stability. Notice how he doesn't say landlords. Landlords are not having any stability right now. Many of them are upset, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're nervous, because you can't get rid of tenants at all. You can take them to court, and the court should be listening to these cases. But many courts are accepting filings, but they're not scheduling any cases. That happened in New York City. In March 2020, There were 200,000 pending housing cases in New York, with over 14,000 families or warrants set to be executed by the city's sheriff or marshal or constable or whatever they may have in those jurisdictions. Those are on hold. How many more are going to be on hold until they decide to hear these cases? In when? February, March of next year? New York City could well have over 1.5 million cases pending. That's just New York City. The longer these moratoriums across America continue, what these governors and legislative leaders are concerned about will happen. They're concerned about the eviction avalanche, the eviction tsunami, the eviction flood. The longer you prohibit evictions from going and commencing and being executed, yes, you will have that flood, that tsunami, that avalanche that you so fear. Allow the cases to at least be heard. Allow landlords to go to court to prove that the tenants are not suffering a financial hardship. Let the landlords be able to prove that the tenants do not fit the provisions necessary under the CDC guidelines or the Tenant Safe Harbor Act. Allow the landlords the opportunity to petition the court to have their cases heard. One of the things that Governor Cuomo has said is that this pandemic is far from over. Over the last couple of months, the state of New York has had a little below 1% to 3% a positive infection rate of COVID-19 from those tested. A little less than 1% to 1.5%. Right now it's about 3% in New York City, and that's spiked in New York City. So he says that the pandemic is far from over. When he stated in a call to reporters some time ago, in a previous call to reporters, Cuomo has said he plans to protect New Yorkers from evictions through the end of the pandemic. When will that be? Less than 1% to 3%. New Yorkers, landlords, real estate investors, lenders, banks, mortgage companies, they're all suffering because the money is not coming in. The ones that truly are not suffering actually are the tenants. They don't have to worry about not being evicted. Our process servers have been out, and they have heard stories from tenants. I can't get evicted right now. I'll go to court and claim I'm facing a financial hardship. I'm claiming this. I'm suffering from that. The tenants are not suffering, and they cannot be evicted. Even if they don't pay their rent, they may be evicted later on. But right now, they're not worried about that, but the landlords are. Many of them, their tax bills are due at the end of the month, school and property. They're wondering where they're going to get the money from. They're dipping into their retirement accounts, their IRAs, their 401ks, with penalties to pay these bills and mortgages and taxes that they have, but yet the tenants really have no worries at all. One of the lines that Governor Cuomo has said that should really get to every one of you, not only here but across America, because this is going to happen to you. This is going to happen to you in California, Alaska, Hawaii, Rhode Island, Texas. It was asked about the COVID-19, when that will end. This is Cuomo's answer. Until when? Until I say COVID is over. And you know, we'll figure out when that is, the governor said. Until I say COVID is over? So one individual in the state of New York will determine when COVID-19 is over. And right now he said it's far from over. And an infection rate, a positive infection rate of 3% or less, and he determines that it's far from over. Landlords, with this type of discussion and this type of dialogue that Cuomo is having with the New Yorkers, and the legislature being involved in this, or maybe not being involved at all, which lends itself to another question, is when are they going to get involved? When is this going to be in the forefront of their legislative agenda as legislators in the state of New York and in other municipalities in other states? is that when will it be over? When will it be over? If you're saying that less than 3% and the pandemic is far from over, could landlords face the possibility of having their tenants in the property 8 months from now, 9 months from now, 10 months from now, with no rent coming in? And we say this on behalf of every landlord here in New York and in America. We say this to our government leaders. You're telling us that we will get a judgment for the money that's due from the tenants. You'll be able to get your money. No. Judgment recovery, in particular with landlord-tenant cases, is very, very low. But if you are so heartened, government leaders, that landlords will be able to collect this money, then why not you therefore take this judgment that they have acquired for $2 or $3 or $5 or $8 or $9,000 or more in back rent? Why don't you take that in lieu of cash payments for the taxes stored on property that are due for the property that you claim that landlords will be able to collect the rent from? Why don't you do that? Let's see how fast you realize that landlords will not collect the money that you so easily claim they will be able to collect. Landlords, we ask that you subscribe to our channel. Leave comments below. We respond. We're very active on Facebook as well. New York Landlords is a great site on Facebook. nylandlords.com is as well. We blog there quite often. Read our blogs. Subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so that you will be made aware of future videos that we have that will help to educate you and help you on your journey to becoming a better landlord. And remember, landlords, that we are here with you. We are here for you. Thank you.